A lot of people have been asking me how this all got started, or am I just going off on a tangent? No, I'm not. I was had my home up for sale. They asked me to look underneath it for a water leak and found out it wasn't installed properly. Finally, I did get the permits. The permits went filled out appropriately, so I started looking and digging into it. For the permits, pull them up, the two of them. Okay, but it doesn't conform to the standards of these laws, the manufacturer's installation guide and the federal laws. And I'll get into that. Okay, so you have two permits. One of them is the final one. One's with the copies for the plan review. This is one for the copies with the plan review. Continental Community Sales 2 is listed as the owner. No mention of the floodplain stuff, but right here it says that they have to abide by the codes, whoever signs this acknowledgement signature. And then that's Wendy Sonier's signature. Okay, this right here is the lot plan layout, or the site plan, and that's not filled out according to the way that it should be. For example, here's a manufacturer's installation guide, and right here is the way it's supposed to look. Okay, the drainage, and then also the elevation, which if you go over here to the Scott County GIS, you go to contours and elevation. Okay, I'm gonna throw off the hillshade real quick. Yeah, my lot's right here. Like, goes right through my house. So the right back here is almost like a foot to a foot and a half higher than the front of the home. So it drops down drastically, and you can visually see that. So that needs to be noted, like, on the permit, right? The other thing is that the trees are supposed to be over here, and then there's a shed that's supposed to be on there too. The manufacturer's installation guide I had to go look up on my own because I wasn't provided it when I bought the home. This right here is the manufactured home installation compliance certification, and there's actually like codes in the 1350 series for Minnesota right here, and the requirement for it. Okay, they're required by the installer. Okay, and it should be issued, and the homeowner is supposed to get a copy. Okay, here's the requirements for it and the seals. Okay, and you're not supposed to put a seal on it unless it like conforms with the laws, right? And construction compliance certificate has to then go to the DOL and the homeowner, right? Well, there's no serial number on there. There's no HUD or state labels number on there. Right here, the inspection installation completed, yes or no, date of inspection, support system, the frost depth piers, there were missing ones, which I'll get to when I pull up the engineer's report. No dates over here that it's tested, missing signatures and license numbers. They have it on the other form, but these are two separate forms. Okay, one's submitted to the CCLD, the Codes Construction Codes and Licensing Division of the DOLI, Department of Labor and Industry, and the other one, like this one, being that it is a city administered code, the state has given them authority to. They're the ones that approve this. Okay, but no signature for approval. It's a new home, is what it got sold to me as, and but it on here is listed as a used home. There's a lot of blanks again. Okay, Wendy Sonier claims to be an agent of Continental Community Sales 2. Again, not signed. You sort of like gotta sign stuff, right? And in these plans, the soil bearing capacity is 1500 supposedly on one page. You go to the next page, it's 2000. So how can it be both? Okay, and I'll pull up. This is from the Department of Labor, their website. You go under manufactured housing, under forms and that, and the tables, and this is one of them. Okay, so class 2 is 2000, number 1. Okay, so 1500 is not class 2. Okay, and then number 2, if we actually go over to the soil data viewer from the USDA, AB, which is what my land is, or my home, where my home was, is, and I can go over to the GIS and show that. So you go to natural resources, the soil survey right there. Okay, and like literally there's my home, AB. Okay, hydric soils. Oh, it covers it. Okay, AB soil on here, if you click on the description, tells you what it is. Okay, 0 to 6% slope, frequent overflow, alluvial land. Okay, floodplains. The typical profile, it's loamy soil. Okay, so anyway, you go back over here to the soil data, right? Doesn't fit this, doesn't fit this. It fits between these two, the alluvial fills. Okay, 4A and 4B, which is at 1000 PSF, which is half on here, half of the value. So that really piqued my interest. And then there's multiple homes listed here for the installation plan. And down here it says that it was sloped away from home, but the lot's not sloped away from the home. In fact, most of them aren't. The city of Jordan said they grandfather it in, just like the soil data, they grandfather the soil data in, which we'll get to in a minute. So the footing area, this is how you calculate that out. Okay, and it shows the calculations up here. Okay, but that should be times 1000, not 2000, so that'll be half the value. So if they calculated out that they'd need 20 footings, it would actually be 40. That type of thing. Okay, here's the cross section. I've never been underneath the home. It looks like it's been re-leveled, but it hasn't, because I've never been underneath the home other than when I check for that water leak and to observe the actual conditions underneath there. Some of them have more than the 1 to 2 inches. Some of them have higher, lower blocks, but some of them the blocks sank. But there's no footings on some of them too. Okay. And so, like, how do you figure this stuff out, right? Well, you go to the CCLD's webpage here. Okay. It has the frost depth maps, the footing. It has most of the stuff right there. Okay. 3 feet 6 inches. Okay. That's what it says. So on the final one here, again, Wendy signed. There's no owner contractor information up here. 20 footings. Okay. Nobody signed there but the inspector. Again, no owner information. Nobody signed there but the inspector. Again, no owner information. Nobody signed there but the inspector. And this is final. The permit should be final down here. Does building final up here though? Okay. And this is the gas certification dealio. The gas line was only an inch and a half down. I have pictures of it. So nothing. A lot of this stuff wasn't accurate. So what are the laws on this stuff, right? And that's where you start to look and just Google it. Minnesota statutes on this is permit. Okay, what's required? Okay, you have to do the application to the building inspector or official first. The application for permit. This is all the information needs to be on there. Okay, action on application. The building official shall be examine or cause to be examined the stuff and make sure that it's good to go, either reject it or notify, hey, we need more info, that type of thing. But they shall document the reasons for rejecting it, and they're supposed to reject it if it's not up to code. The time limit on the application, right here, validity of permit. Okay, so once it's final, you can't continue work on it. It's already done, and 180 days is what you got. Okay, same thing with the expiration of permit. Okay, information and placement on permit should be kept on the site. It should specify the name and address of the applicant, the general contractor. But there's like, other than this application page here, there's no information, right? Doesn't say their information other than just the address. Oops. Here we go, 1300, back over here. Okay. Responsibility. Everyone who performs work for the installation is responsible. Okay, but the person or firm organizing or securing the permit is responsible for code compliance. That would be Continental Community Sales 2 and Wendy Saunier. Again, Continental Community Sales 2 and Wendy Saunier. Along with Right Way. Now we're going to go over to the construction documents, the submittal. Okay, this is supposed to be submitted with the permit, and sometimes multiple sets. Information should be dimensioned, all that jazz. Manufacturer's installation instructions are supposed to be there. Wasn't included with the permit. The site plan, right? Like this is what I was talking about. It's not done properly. Okay, examine the documents, all that jazz. Approval. Okay, they have to stamp it, reviewed for code compliance. And they're supposed to put down like a set, or what codes it was under. If any was grandfathered in, they're supposed to put it on there under what code revision it was, that type of thing. Part of that's on the certificate of occupancy too, but they don't provide that for Valley Green. They do for the rest of the city, but for Valley Green they don't. Okay. And no work is supposed to be done until it's like approved. We're going to go back to 1300 here real quick. Okay. And we're going to go to certificate of occupancy. No building or structure shall be used or occupied, right, until they have a certificate of occupancy. It's not an approval for violation of the code. Certificates presuming to give authority to violate the code or other ordinances are not valid. Exceptions: used manufactured homes moved within a jurisdiction, but the City of Jordan Code 154.125 Section J does require it. Okay. This is what's supposed to be on the certificate issued, but they just don't do it. Okay. So, violations and the penalty. It is unlawful to do these things, including occupying any building structure, right? Or to cause any of those actions in conflict with the code, right? Like, you have to follow the laws. But that just hadn't been happening. Okay. Now, if you go down to the construction requirements in 1350, this is a manufactured home code. I'll scroll up to the top in a second here. See manufactured homes. It's the DOLI code for it. Instruction and design, you have to follow the manufacturer's installation instructions. Go back over to here. Prepare the site. So that says one of the whole sections is site planning. Okay, and in here they have these cool little warnings and such. Like this is a warning, you have to heed this. And this is approved by HUD. So in the federal preemption right here, it says you have to follow this first. Okay. The importance of correct installation cannot be overemphasized. Sorry about that. Correct installation is absolutely essential. Okay, and this must be followed. Okay. And the manufacturer has no control over the installation. So let's just look at some of these warnings. Site appropriateness. Okay. You're supposed to confirm all this information first. Get the local permits. Areas subject to flooding. This entire manual does not cover, so you have to do something else, which is get your own engineer or architect. Prepare the site's a whole dealio, right? And it even determined no soil conditions. Inadequate soil has to be fixed. You can't just grandfather it in, right? Right here, which it's possible that it is less. I don't know. I have not tested it. The engineer that I had only looked at the foundation. Now, footings are required, especially in frost load zones. Okay, and you can go down the list. At the very end here, they even have a checklist that's supposed to be filled out prior to completing the installation, and a copy of it given to the person that's buying the home. Yep, right back here, the checklist. Okay, the footings are properly sized, all that jazz. Okay, under the home, that stuff. Okay, you're supposed to have all this done, and they didn't. So there are laws around it. The CFR 24. Okay, this is the manufactured housing stuff. You click on the standards. They have the pre-installation considerations, the site preparation, the foundation, all this stuff, okay? And this has to be in the manufacturer's installation guide, which it is. Okay, it even has a specific section for flood hazards. Hey, my home's in a flood hazard zone. Okay, so soil conditions, you literally have to, you can't just skip over the federal regulations. You can't just, and this is all over the place. It's on the permits here. At the bottom here, that right there, that you're complying with this stuff. So you're supposed to be signing, right? And that's how I found out where to go look. This is not me just being vindictive. obviously, this hasn't been being enforced. Just going to close out a couple of these real quick. Okay. So this stuff wasn't filled out properly. The plan review wasn't done right. And there's laws saying it has to be. Right? So let's go look at some of these laws that say it has to be. One second. Did we look at the violations for the 1300? Yeah, it's unlawful. And let's go to the penalty. I don't think we covered that one. It's a misdemeanor. Okay. So 327. If you go down to manufactured home building code compliance. Okay, you can't offer to sell unless it complies. Use manufactured homes, you have to fill all this out. And I'm trying to make sure that it is correct so that way I can fill it out and sell my home. That's all I've been trying to do. If there's an alternative design plan, you have to have these people approve it. And the manufacturer's installation instructors for new manufactured homes. All new single section manufactured homes, and that shall be installed in compliance with either the manufacturer's installation instructions in effect of the date of manufacture, or when applicable, the Minnesota State Building Code. Okay. There's even a notice requirement if it's not. I never got that notice. Seals. Okay. Defective compliance. In a prohibition, no person shall install any manufactured home or manufactured home accessory in violation of any rule. Oh, they did. Okay. And municipalities which have adopted the state building code may provide installation, inspection, and plan review services. And the city of Jordan does that. Okay, penalties. It is a misdemeanor. Whoa. Okay, it's a misdemeanor to fix the seal or label if it doesn't comply. To sell if it doesn't comply. Failure to follow installation rules. It's a misdemeanor. Okay, this is... Okay, false information to the Department of Labor. A person subject to the requirements of the applicable law may not make a false material statement, representation, or certification, and omit material from, or alter, conceal, or fail to maintain file, all that stuff. They falsified the soil data. Okay, the sloping. You go down the list. You can't falsify information you're submitting to the state. And that falls under the plan review process. So the plan reviewer as well. .327B is the sale stuff, which I'll probably get into a little bit later. Okay. And here's the Jordan code that I said, 154.125, Section J. All manufactured homes, right? And it can't be used until there's a certificate of occupancy. Okay, so there's missing footings that the engineer found. And there's also other permits. I ended up getting all the permits back to 2015. And that really caused a lot more questions. Because there's multiple permits that were never finalized in 2015. And I'll pull those up. Okay, and that was what? 6, 7, and 179 from 2015. I'll have to see which other ones it was. It should have the home numbers on here too, but it is, see, right here, it's expired. Then you have the note down here. There's 3 permits, right? 259, 258, and 145. This is 2018. For 3 years, they were trying to get it finalized. 180 days afterwards, they're supposed to have it expire. And on some of these permits, they actually quoted that law right on there. Okay, so that was 240, 58 and 59. Yep, 58, 59, not 48 and 49. Yep, that's the same dealio there. And we're going to go to 259. Yep, 3 permits that were never finalized. So I'm trying to find the other one that was expired that had the information on it. This one, I think it is. Right here, it says that after 180 days, if the work time of the work is commenced, it should be suspended or abandoned, or get it finalized. Okay. If you click through here, you'll actually see that 2019 was the first year that they started writing the floodplain stuff on there. Okay, here's 2020. On the ones from 2019 here, $500-year flood, it's the first time it's mentioned. Because if you go back, you can go back to 2017. And it's not. Okay, and I'm not sure if this home is, but 19 is when we flooded, so after our flood is when they started caring about it. And right here in 17, it was valued at $5,000. But then you scroll back over to the 2019 one. And it's $10,000. Holy moly. It doubled without them changing anything that they did, supposedly, and actually still providing the concrete. I have been told by installers there's no way in heck for $5,000 you can do the footings as well as the install. The money showed that they were not doing it. I also contacted a couple concrete plants. Concrete has not gone up that much since then. Okay. And we're going to go to the license, look up here. And you can actually look up the licenses. Okay, so we're going to look up this guy's license. Okay, 630103. 630103. And that was Right Way, doing business as manufactured structures, M3 services, M3 structure services doing business the right way. It was terminated anyway in 2018. Okay. But this is 2019 here, and they are still using the same license number. So they don't have a license at that time. And there's 3 permits right here, the ones we just looked at, after their license termination. Okay. Well, under the fees, they're supposed to make sure that the license is verified. Right here, manufactured home installer for the purposes of license verification. Okay, it tells you how much you can do the surcharge for. And this right here is a building permit is conditional on licensure. A political subdivision shall not issue a building permit to an unlicensed person or entity. But the city of Jordan did. There's no notes about the floodplain until after 2019 when we flooded. And I'll do another video later. There's actually a lot more to this, but this is just a brief overview.